You came, Luminous thought. Veldora is calm and unruffled in the face of Daggerel. Of course. Unlike Luminous, who cannot do anything when time stands still, Veldora can move in the suspended world, as if it were a matter of course. Looking at Veldora, Luminous is made to feel ridiculous, wondering what the despair of the past was all about. The tension that had been building up in her body in anticipation of her death was now dissipating, and for some reason, she felt a sense of relief. But it was a feeling she did not want to admit. That's ridiculous. It was impossible that I would be relieved just because Veldora had come. Cutting off these thoughts, Luminous turned her attention to the current situation. Kwahahaha. Veldora continued to laugh even in this critical situation. He was as loose as usual. This was a great relief to Luminous. In the time of standstill, no one could hear his voice. Except for Daggerel, who activated the suspended world, no one could have heard Veldora's voice. And yet, his high-spirited smile was the same as usual. What are you fooling around for? That hateful talk belongs to her former enemy. Oh, I see. Oh, yes, she's here too, isn't she? Luminous recalls the existence of Ultima. In this suspended world, she wondered how Veldora transcended time and space, and Ultima was involved. That makes sense, doesn't it? For Luminous, who could not even recognize the suspended world until a few moments ago, what is happening in front of her eyes now is beyond her comprehension. But if it is real, then, as Ultima says, there is no time to be dumbfounded. Luminous are conscious but unable to move their bodies. Ultima asks Luminous in such a confused state without mercy. So, how do you feel? Are you at least aware of the situation? Luminous answered without hesitation. Well, yes. I'm not sure I'm aware of the situation, but I understand that we're out of danger for the time being. Hearing this, Ultima smiles. It's your first time to experience the suspended world, and yet you can recognize voices and have a conversation with them. You're pretty good at it, aren't you? You are indeed a competitor that I have recognized. Ultima has not experienced the suspended world many times, but that is information that does not need to be mentioned. She tries to mount her opponent to make her think that she is superior to her, and then they try to reconcile the situation. If you can talk to them, you can see them, right? Of course I can. That damned evil dragon is glaring at Daggerel. Lumina's ultra intuition is beginning to grasp the situation, albeit dimly. Only Veldora and Daggerel are able to move without hesitation. Ultima, too, seems to be in a great tone, but she is not used to it yet, or she is not ready to move. So it's possible to interfere with the information particle. No light, no sound transmission, no grasp of the suspended world. The only way to recognize what is in the suspended world is to interfere with a special kind of matter, smaller than a spirit or a photon, that is connected to the very core of the world. Luminous understood that this substance was what Ultima called an information particle. If we can move this information particle freely, we can move even in stop time, can't we? That's right. I think I've already got a feel for it. In fact, Ultima has already regained feeling in her limbs. Once it does, the rest is easy. She could own the suspended world as if it were breathing. I will not be outdone. Luminous also sharpened her senses. She grasps her inner self and the matter floating around her, and selects only the unbounded information particles from among them at times, so that she can move them deliberately. Luminous' fingertips twitched. That's good. It's a race. Time stood still, but there was no time to lose. The outcome of the battle between Veldora and Daggerel was unknown. That is why they must be ready to move before it is decided. Luminous and Ultima sharpened their senses as if they were competing with each other. While the others began to resist time, the conversation between Veldora and Daggerel continued. Veldora, how did you manage to appear at the perfect moment? It is incomprehensible to Daggerel that spatial transportation is performed in the middle of the suspended world. It was an insane act to come from a distant place with pinpoint accuracy, even if it was within the visible range. Well, you know what I mean. Heroes always make a good appearance. Veldora answered in a knowing manner to Daggerel's question. It was not the answer he was hoping for, but Daggerel was satisfied because it was Veldora's way. To Daggerel, Veldora made a ridiculous proposal. So, Daggerel, I'd like to talk to you about something. What is it? If time stands still, won't people know how good-looking I am? I'm sorry to hear that. Daggerel thought to himself, what the hell is he talking about? Once time is stopped, there is not much effort to maintain it. However, it is a hassle in its own way, so there is no need to deal with it. This aspect also shows Daggerel's good relationship. Veldora says, if you can move anyway, there is no reason to keep stopping time. That's why I want you to start over. I want to make my appearance again just in time for time to start moving. I'll catch your fist right in front of Luminous' eyes. That's how I need to impress Luminous. May I ask why? What, it's simple. I've done many things in my time. Luminous has a bit of a grudge against me. I'm here to make a good impression on her and ingratiate myself to make it all go away. Even Daggerel was disgusted by this story, which did not benefit him in the slightest. Therefore, he retorts to him as if he were soothing a child. I'm going to cancel time stop myself, but there's no reason for me to go along with your farce. He had a good point. Yes, Daggerel had no reason to go along with Veldora. He is a good-natured guy even if he is just listening to him. In fact, if you are dealing with someone who can move in the suspended world, there is no point in stopping time. It would have been pointless, as it would have wasted time and energy. But that is the case when there is only one opponent. The moment Daggerel releases the time-stopping state, he has to deal not only with Veldora, but also with Luminous. Shion will be revived by Luminous, even though she is down now. This would be more troublesome than now, so it was worthwhile to keep the suspended world. However, Daggerel was concerned that not only Ultima but also Luminous might recognize the information particle, and that the current advantage might be lost if the situation continued. Daggerel was concerned that the current advantage would be lost. If so, it would be like letting the enemy gain experience. If that is the case, he would like to cancel the suspended world as soon as possible, but Veldora keeps on complaining. You're a persistent person. Since I have bowed down to you so much, why don't you do me a favor? He insists as if it were a matter of course, with his selfish logic. Daggerel let out a big sigh of exhaustion. And then there was Luminous, who could understand Daggerel's feelings very well. You rotten lizard, I'll shimmy you later. Luminous turned red and became furious. If she could have moved now, she would have kicked him. Veldora's attitude was so lickety-split that she thought she might be able to move in anger. Perhaps she thought that Luminous would not hear him because of suspended world, but she was so careless that her true feelings were leaking out. I'll hurt you later, Luminous promised herself. Veldora is free. Daggerel, disgusted. Luminous in anger. Ultima quietly understands the information particle. In the midst of these conflicting thoughts and more chaotic situations, the strange phenomenon continues. It is Shion who has caused it. Eyes remain closed. Wounds all over her body remain open, blood continues to flow. Yes, it's unnatural. In suspended world, no matter how badly you are injured, blood never flows out. It is only natural since even the heart is stopped. And yet, Shion's blood is flowing. Shion moves with a swaying motion. Her bloodshot eyes widen, and she stands up like a ghost. What? Before Daggerel's astonishment, Shion takes a deep breath. Shion, you understand suspended world. Daggerel muttered involuntarily. Shion, now that's it. Veldora, who senses that he is about to be deprived of his turn, talks to Shion awkwardly. However, Shion spoke up in response. Veldora-sama, that man is my prize. Will you give him to me? Shion asked Veldora, holding a large sword as a walking stick and breathing on her shoulder. Aha. Veldora nodded his head in a muffled manner. The atmosphere was such that it was impossible to say no. Veldora, who had a bad idea, and Shion, who had a different attitude and spirit. Veldora's only choice was to be dressed up and watch Shion's request. Okay. I'll lend you a little help. Fight to your heart's content. Veldora responded while supporting Shion, who was about to fall down. Then, he pours energy into Shion to help her recover. I'd lend it to her, but I couldn't give all to her, but she took it from me without reservation. Veldora, deprived of Magicule by Shion, almost wobbles, but he endures desperately. Oh, thank you very much. Don't worry about it. She smiled brightly and cried in her heart. Veldora sends Shion off. Daggerel stands tall like a towering wall. Standing in front of it, Shion readied her sword with delight. I've kept you waiting, haven't I? So, I will entertain you a little more this time. Well, I'll take you at your word. The two nodded at each other comfortably and then faced each other again. I must live up to your expectations. In the frozen world, the real battle between Daggerel and Shion was about to begin.